Welcome back to Reform Millennials, a podcast where we discuss the intersection of markets, politics, and pop culture. Please remember that the content of this show is for educational and entertainment purposes only. Nothing should be considered financial or tax advice. Please consult a professional before you make any investment decisions.
Raj,
Yes, sir.
welcome to my office, my studio, so
Thank
to
you.
speak.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you coming here this morning. Before I jump off, I want to, I guess, tell the audience a little bit what brings you here today.
Sure.
I've been introduced to you, and as I always do, I take a look at everybody's kind of social presence
Yep.
and the internet to kind of get a feel for who I'm going to be interviewing. And I have, for the last since probably about 2019, had an interest in the direction of preventative healthcare, physiotherapy, and I think momentum behind the way in which we consider our bodies as people.
Mm-hmm.
And I've long felt that there's been this really interesting opportunity, and I just didn't know who was going to fill it. And interestingly, it feels as though physio has been the massive benefactor of this from a training perspective. Mm-hmm. It hasn't been the GP. It hasn't been the I don't know, we'll call it the gym trainer. It feels like physio has really been the group to pick up and run with it. So when I saw and had the opportunity to meet with you, I felt like it was really important.
Cool.
So I want to give you a little bit of proper bio and introduction.
Sure.
So today we're sitting down with Raj Dhillon. Is that correct?
Yeah.
25 years you've been practicing?
Yeah, I think it's less than that, but let's call it 22.
22, shoot.
Yeah, let's call it 22.
We'll call it rehabilitative medicine.
Yeah.
And to me, you are one of the key players in the area. In Edmonton, Alberta at large.
Right.
You're the co-owner of Pivotal Physio.
Yep.
You oversee multiple locations. For the most part, you guys are high performance center. And to me, when I look at what you guys have built, it's this athletic focus, massive development organization that is looking at building and advancing like peak human performance.
Mm-hmm.
And so for you're also out at ARC.
Yep.
Is that correct?
Yep.
So you're not just a clinician, you're also this top tier certified, how do I put this? Rehabilitative medicine practitioner. How do the two marry with each other? What makes somebody go into like physiotherapy out of school?
Yeah.
And then transition into what you've become today?
That's a great question. So I should clarify one thing, that some of our clinics are general population clinics, I would call them. So like they do service the full bell curve of the population. So in that example, we have patients that are, anywhere from 2 months old that had, a wry neck, all the way up to somebody who's 90, 94 and having some degenerative back pain or knee arthritis. And there's everything in the middle. More in the last 10 years, we've gone into that high performance side of things. So we've opened up 2 or 3 locations that are focused on performance and wellness. And that process, although initially it was like, let's go after this direction, also taught us a lot. Taught us a lot about, how do we take the principles of high performance, but take them to our 65-year-old post-operative knee replacement patient? And how do we get that knee replacement patient to continue being active in his or her life or in their life and do the things they want to do?
Uh-huh.
So it's kind of like, it's been really interesting to take principles from one into the other and vice versa. How they marry, let's talk about that. So physiotherapy, when I first graduated, was known as rehab medicine. It was a mix of passive care and active care, but passive care was leaned upon more heavily at that time.
Okay.
Now the evidence today is much more clear that active care is going to create long-term tissue change and long-term benefit to our patient in the end. Passive care is still needed for tune-ups and pain relief, and there's a place for it, but active care is really where the direction of the future is going. So active care for one-on-one patient, might be improving your rotator cuff strength so you can throw more powerfully. Or active care for a group might be, how does this team train and learn principles of movement and get stronger and or faster, then transfer those skills into their sport. It's kind of like this journey of one-on-one into group situations.
It's really interesting. So, I mean, it's been a minute since you've been in school.
Yeah.
I want to talk first about the career of a physio.
Yeah.
So you go to school, you learn your practice, and then you go into Gen Pop service or patient care. Is that generally the career arc at the beginning?
Yeah, so I can speak pretty confidently about the Albertan model, which I think is common across Canada. So at least at the U of A, which is the only school in Alberta that offers physiotherapy training, at the U of A, roughly 60% of the graduates will go into private practice.
Okay.
Meaning orthopedic care, much like I do. So that's 6 out of 10. The other 40% will go into hospital care, Cross Cancer Institute, neurological care, long-term care facilities, nursing homes, and probably some things that I've missed.
Sure.
But I call them slightly different models of care, where physiotherapy is still needed.
Got it.
So that's not my area of expertise. I've been spending years in the orthopedic side.
Got it.
So in the private practice side and the orthopedic side, yes, most clinicians will finish schooling. There is like a pretty medium to steep learning curve when they first start practicing, where mentorship is needed and supervision is required, and there's a training process. Let's call it a year or two of kind of that learning curve. And then people start to self-identify, this is my identity as a clinician, this is how I appreciate treating, these are the tools I like to utilize, this is where I find success, this is my belief system, and then how I'm going to implement that belief system into my patient care. So usually after year 2, people will start to really settle into which path they want to treat.
So, to my understanding, you're an instructor, clinical instructor at the U of A. How have you been able to implement the way that your practice has evolved into how you help and train and educate the upcoming physio group?
Yeah, I got pretty lucky. Early in my career, the clinic owner at the time, her name's Anna, she encouraged us to take on students right away, like early in our career, which is not the norm.
Okay.
So we had a couple of early experiences where we were taking on students in their placement settings. So they were kind of finished their academic requirements, going into private practice for placements. They go for 5 or 6 weeks in different environments. One of those environments was our clinic.
Okay.
So along the way, I got lots of reps early on with different students, seeing students from 06 versus 08 versus 010 versus 015. And the academic process was changing. It went from a bachelor's program into a master's program.
Okay.
So there's a jump in the average age of graduating student, and there's a jump in expectations of that master's level education. So I got to see shifts in how students were exiting the program. I also got lucky because many of them would keep a positive relationship with me and I would do the same. So I got lots of survey and data points about where do they feel really confident when they graduate and where are some of the weak points or points that they struggle with. That helped then me basically create a syllabus for a course that I run after people graduate. It's a small group course. And it's designed for new graduates, taking the content that they've already shared with me, saying this is where we'd like some support. And I built about 75% of the syllabus around that content, allowing 25% to be somewhat limber every year. And the limber then allows for each group to kind of direct, these are the questions I have, this is where I feel confident, this is where I'm kind of sticky, and then it allows for creative license.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you go into private, it feels as though you being very, noticeably entrepreneurial, you have, you think outside the box to an extent. It makes tons of sense why you go that direction. There's folks that go the public route where you have maybe a calling or you're drawn to that practice.
Sure.
You go the other route, which is from a total addressable market, it seems to be where a lot of the expansion and opportunity lies, technology advancements, et cetera.
Yeah.
Not that there isn't on the public side, but to me that seems to be directionally how things are going. You open up a clinic yourself, or you start at one, then you move on, you open one yourself.
Yeah, we actually bought into a couple of practices that we were already practicing at initially.
Okay.
And then evolution took place. So we've had some startups and some acquisitions since then. Yeah.
So now in that Gen Pop service to now moving towards the, we'll call it more athletic, focused.
Yeah.
I would almost say like you're trying to push the limits of what people are capable of.
Mm-hmm.
What pushed you that direction? Was it what customers were looking for? Was it interest?
Yeah, a little bit of both.
Okay.
Certainly interest, of course.
Yeah. Well.
So there's like, you can't, I'm a big believer that, you know, what gets me out of bed in the morning, regardless of money and duty and all the other things, has to drive action through the day. So absolutely there was interest in understanding how do we develop, I would call it optimal performance for everybody, not just athletes, which then kind of begs the question, how do we treat everybody to a degree like an athlete, right? So we're not all going to invest the same number of dollars in recovery that LeBron James invests.
No, sure.
But can we tease out a few options there that works for grandma who wants to be grandma to her kids? Can we tease out a few options for a youth athlete that's now 15 and training 9 times a week with different sports and indulging all the calories because he's growing? And can we tease out some of that information for a perimenopausal woman who's now starting to get back to training after maybe some years off? Like each of those people has an athletic journey, has a performance journey, and each of the answers might be different for each of those people.
Oh, there's so many routes I'd love to go with some of those kids that the whole sporting situation has me all stressed out. But
you stressed out?
Oh, for sure. My boy's turning 5 soon, and you never know. Trying to figure out what he wants to do is challenging.
Sure.
But my initial interest is the high performative, non-athletic adult who I think has, as the world continues to improve, you have a standard of, depending on who you ask, but generally speaking, if you're going by the data, it's our standards of living are increasing or improving as the top, call it 10% of the population adds more time on their plate. They have the appetite to then start to refine certain parts of their life.
Sure.
I think it's fairly obvious that the higher performative professional is in better shape than they were 25 years ago.
Sure.
There's more focus on health, more focus on what we put in our bodies.
Yeah.
This emergence of preventative medicine matches what feels like your career arc. So now for myself, I think you're reading the tea leaves of the economy or the consumer, and you start to build these incredible programs that people are consuming, buying.
Yeah.
This is where your business is growing.
Yeah, you're right. Like you think about how much money people invested in scotch and or cigars 25 years ago. It was maybe like one generation ahead of us. And then our generation, let's call it, it's different, right? And conversely, the amount of money and time that they would have spent on group fitness, recovery strategies, sleep research, like it's a very different picture for a variety of reasons. Now, I didn't drive all that. That's what's occurred,
sure.
But certainly I have engaged in it, and then now try to understand it more, research it, and then deliver models and services and clinics that service that.
So based on the demographics and populations, where do you see the most opportunity for your business moving forward?
Where do I see the most opportunity? So maybe I'll answer a few things. Youth athletic development. I'm going to call it long-term athletic development.
Okay.
I'll come back to that in a second. Adult performers. That's probably the population you're kind of referencing. An adult who's now a father or a mother, or maybe not, but wants to continue being quite active, quite healthy, good energy, sleep well, perform well, and contribute to society in the way that they wish, but with energy. There's a vitality to it. And then conversely, they don't feel like they're breaking down. It's a common phrase we hear.
Almost.
Yeah, you kind of hear that phrase a lot. I'm breaking down. I don't want to break down. That kind of thing. Thirdly, I would go even older. So the generation above those adults, they're probably grandparents or grandparent age. How are they spending their time? How are they spending their money? What are they eating? How are they drinking? How are they sleeping? What does their social network look like? What does their value system and support system look like? And how do they age well and maintain vitality? So that they call it like 3 different age groups. Going back to the long-term athletic development model, that model is built to help not only these youth athletes move well, train well, understand principles, but also then ultimately become healthy adults and then healthy maybe grandparents. So there's an evolution, but they need to learn those principles now, in my opinion. They need to learn those principles now to be set up for success.
So you have almost generationally identified these people as they move through life. And we've become hyper aware in each one. And interestingly, I mean, as myself who follows publicly traded companies, which tend to give pretty good signal into the consumer, you see Constellation Brands, which owns a lot of alcohol businesses and things that would be deemed unhealthy. They're struggling. I mean, Gen Z doesn't consume alcohol at the same rate in which millennials do. And as a result of that, I think that has a lot to do with our understanding of the impacts of what we put in our body, right? So this group has come to the conclusion that health is important earlier than millennials ever did, than boomers ever did, than Gen X ever did. So that makes for a expanding or much larger TAM at a younger age. So you're addressing that. I think about my generation who tends to be too busy because of children, because of the additional responsibilities you have. You don't have the time necessarily. So you build product for that suite. Then you have the older generation that's wealthier, but then has a more, they're a little bit more concerned about staying healthy, capable, and able to live life vicariously, or not vicariously, rather vibrantly at a later age. So you build services into that. For you guys specifically, it feels like you've got the athletic portion built out. What sort of technology do you see yourself adding into the 30 plus to 80 plus range that can help you guys build out the business that you currently have, or one that you want to build?
Yeah, I don't know that physiotherapy is the best industry for like technology. I know what you're getting at, and I'll get to that in a sec. But I believe our profession is much more well equipped to advise people, assess them, guide them, counsel, and really help them understand the path and then map out a bit of a path for them. Now, if we get into the technical pieces, including technology, how do we then track those people's performance? How do we measure our success? That would be a great question. So there are some biodata markers. There's tools like Whoop or an Aura Ring. There's I would call that, like I wear a Whoop for many, many years. So it helps you track, for those that maybe don't know, helps you track sleep data, training data, HRV, heart rate variability, heart rate through training, and gives you also now AI coaching to help optimize your performance and put yourself in the best state. So there's examples like that. In terms of performance, left to right versus asymmetries, speed, change of direction, like really getting into the weeds here, there's various technological pieces. Evolved Performance has put out some new technological pieces that we have. We're using force plates for measuring data, same as the Oilers use to measure their pre-season testing. So there are technological pieces for sure, but I would say those are just tech, and if the why isn't there and the science isn't there, the tech just becomes tech. It just becomes like a tool, a toy. So it's got to be more than just a toy. Yeah.
So because of that, because I think our life's full of toys at the moment.
Yes.
What I'm struggling to see is a home for people that want to implement these toys seriously.
Yeah.
Where is the physio gym for the person like myself,
Right.
who doesn't have time in the evenings, but can find an hour during the day
Okay.
to go and find a community and a service for kind of the entire suite of services that you speak of.
Right.
Someone who could help me track, someone who keep me in line,
Yeah.
somebody who can then kind of watch and see where I might have blind spots.
Yeah.
Because I feel as though there's tons of good lives. There's the odd, there's more, there's a ton of community for females that are looking for Pilates studios, etc. Maybe an F45 might be an example of this. But to me, you're not getting that additional service at many of these places.
Right.
It doesn't feel like there's a lot there. And maybe that's because there isn't demand for it. But I don't think that's the case. So how do we go from having these clinics and all these gyms to a clinic gym?
Well, it's open now. So let's start there.
Okay.
It's open now. It's called the Athletes Hangar. It's located right between Kingsway Garden Mall and Nate. So it's a building. It used to be the old Avenir Curling Club. And now we've taken it over with a group of partners to reimagine what that building's going to do and how it lives and exists. So now it's designed with 2 turf facilities for team training. There's a physiotherapy space along with a gym. There's a recovery room. We're waiting for Alberta Health Services permitting, so we can't access some of the recovery room yet. But going back to your kind of concept, that's a place where I'll probably better describe with an example.
Sure.
Let's use you as an example. I'm going to hypothesize that
I'm not a good one, but
that's good. That's actually, we need a flawed example.
Awesome.
So I'm going to hypothesize you had some back pain with training and an old ankle injury. We'll throw those out there. So you might go to a gym like F45 or Good Life. You might go to a group fitness class somewhere in the city. You might have a great sweat, an awesome workout, great community, and a wonderful experience. You might go there 3 times a week, and you might actually do really, really well. And you might be having wonderful results, good caloric burn, look good in a t-shirt, sleep well, feel good about yourself, and wonderful energy. That's actually a fantastic outcome. I would call that a fantastic outcome. So in that example, your back's not bugging you, ankle's not bugging you, performing well, low cost, decent outcome. Do you need a physio gym? Probably not in that example. Now, let's say the back is bugging you, you're in a group fitness class with 8 people in the class, and you're not getting the technical evaluation that's needed because the instructor or the coach is busy managing 8 people and running a program. So now we have one person in that class who maybe is not getting exactly what they need. What happens today, what happened yesterday, is that patient may then book a physiotherapy assessment or a chiropractic assessment, a massage therapy assessment, and say, I got this back problem when I train. Can you help me out with that? And then they get assessed and treated, and then they go back to class. That's also not a terrible outcome. So that's maybe somewhat acceptable. But could it all happen in one place? So right now it can. That's what ARC is doing at the Athletes Hangar location. There's physiotherapy evaluations. You can have group fitness classes run by a strength coach, a certified strength and conditioning coach that runs different programs. There's power endurance, there's Olympic lifting, there's speed work. So people can choose what class they want to be in, and they can choose whether or not they need massage therapy, physio, chiro, evaluation, or treatment. And those people need to talk, right? So historically, I would see some of those back pain patients, and I would say, do I have permission to talk to your coach at F45 or at Good Life or whatever it is? And there's some email dialogue or text dialogue that occurs with their permission. Okay. So, if the people are willing to talk and collaborate, good things can happen. And that was what we would try to do. We've kind of taken that and strangleholded it into one place where now it's on our team.
Okay. So I view that as being a solution at the moment. I think about this, and maybe this is because I'm hyper online and I'm online too much, but there's this concept of like the centenarian decathlon, which is like obviously to live to 100.
Yeah.
And you reverse engineer what you want to be like at 80, so you maintain and train your body to do that.
Yeah.
But I think that comes with more than just kettlebell training. I believe that there's a lot more tools out there to help manage your body.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, just over the last 5 years, people have become much more aware of the importance of sleep. They've become less. It's kind of this 3-leg stool that I think in the past was believed to be 2, right? You had exercise and then you had diet. No one really took any concern with sleep. We are continuing to add things to this. And I believe that if you listen to enough podcasts, you'll be indoctrinated into some form of vitamin plan or whatever.
Sure.
To me, that full suite is something I myself am looking for.
Yeah.
I see a lot of my colleagues, friends that are, I mean, probably in the top 25% in terms of like their income. They're also looking for somebody who's going to integrate this into their lives for them.
Yeah.
Because it's not just me who's daunted by the amount of information out there. To organize it and then deliver it with scheduling, because if you aren't doing it consistently, you're not doing it at all.
Yeah.
I could have a great 3 days and then it falls off.
Absolutely.
To organize delivery of what you should be taking every day. To me, the exercise is the part the top 50% has figured out. It's the rest that needs to be added and implemented and understood that I feel could be and has the opportunity to be added to. Yeah. Right now, I go to my GP, they don't even have enough time to talk to me for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You're
in the wrong country for that. What you're describing,
the United States.
What you're describing, there are models that exist that mirror what you're describing. They're trying to fill that niche. Mm-hmm. Cellular data, blood cell analysis, sleep metrics, vitamin plans that are bespoke to you versus bespoke to me because we have different genetics.
Absolutely.
So your plan might be a little different than mine, but it optimizes it for you. Tracking annual data points or quarterly data points, giving you a bit of a report card.
Yeah.
That exists, right? Just not in Canada. We're in the wrong country.
Well,
so the innovation is there.
The technology is there to give it to us.
There are performance labs in the US that are doing this. Yeah, absolutely.
Like I know, like the Drive podcast I listen to frequently. Right. He has 2 facilities where they currently do that.
Yeah.
I don't understand there's now private general practitioners that are building these. Yep. I don't even know what they call them, but they're taking your blood and then they're giving you advice on what you should be taking, et cetera. But I don't know, I feel as though there's like this opportunity for a trusted advisor that understands from 5 years old to 105 years old, the life that you're living, they understand your movement, what you're trying to look for, to me, a lot better than the GP does. Mm-hmm. And can help you understand and organize. And there's this great advisory role, because that's actually where I sit.
Right.
What I do for a living. I sit on the financial advisory role, where I am trying to help my business or my clientele go from being 25 starting their career to being 100 and understanding how to manage their family office and raise their children, their children's children, and generationally that transition. And I try to add these additional services so that I can ensure that those things happen. Mm-hmm. So to me, it's like this open space, and it sounds like you guys are building this really great community location. When you talked about the AHS permitting, what are you guys trying to build with regards to that?
Well, our recovery room has a cold tub, a hot tub, and a sauna. Yeah, so like all these podcasts, I'm sure that you've listened to, have talked about cold plunging and sauna benefits, and some of the physiology on this is pretty well documented. So our recovery room has those features. Yeah.
So you've multiple locations. It feels as though you felt I didn't want to get paid by the hour anymore.
Right.
There's this opportunity for me to scale my knowledge, my talent, to continue to educate, train, there's a benefit from a business perspective.
Yeah, there's obviously a money side of it,
Yeah.
for sure, which is one driver. But
Yeah, and I don't want to paint
a,
this as it's not.
all good. No, that's okay. It has to be part of it.
Oh, yeah.
I think anybody who's going into business needs to be mindful of money, 100%, but it cannot be the only driver. It's one driver, all good. We have that driver as well. But also there's this driver that, the driver that gets me out of bed in the morning or that lights up my eyes isn't the money part.
No.
It's the like, what can we learn? It's a curiosity. It's how can we impact society? Like for us, it's the Edmonton market. That's where we are. We're local Edmontonians. So what are we going to do to penetrate this market the right way? And how can we influence the next generation of clinicians and the current generations of our population? Like that's the exciting part. Right?
I know for myself, the reason why I get up in the morning and I go to work every day is because I like being told I'm good at what I do.
Okay.
I like that affirmation or
right.
that
validation
that I get from my job.
Okay.
And the better I get at it, the more I get it.
Sure.
And it's this feedback loop.
Addictive quality.
Yes, it's pretty bad when you look at it that way.
What if you have a shitty day?
It has almost nothing to do with the money
what if you have a crappy day?
Well,
what happens?
Like for instance, we had last night we had Meta earnings, Microsoft earnings, ServiceNow earnings, and incredibly volatile this morning.
Okay.
So I was up in the morning kind of talking through it with the team.
Yeah.
And it made for a fairly difficult morning because everything was very volatile.
Yeah.
That is excitement though. And it's super fun.
Yeah.
I prefer there to be a lot of news.
Yeah.
I'm not by any means, without moving this politically, Donald Trump, if anything, is exciting, insane, which makes for my job just a little bit more interesting.
Okay.
So to come back to you from like the driver of what pushes you, I don't want to make it monetary because I think that is only secondary for almost everybody who's great at what they do.
Yeah.
I think there's something else that really drives that person. For the business itself, to me, again, you're adding the total addressable market. It's absolutely expanding. I think that there's almost this unlimited upside that is available as human beings continue to become further obsessed with living forever. Truly, that to me is, if you look at the, 500 richest people on earth, they would pay their entire fortune to live forever.
Right.
That to me is an amazing opportunity.
Right.
That's no different for the city of Edmonton, San Francisco, New York City. So you've moved from, and this is a constraint for lawyers, it's a constraint for everybody, an hourly model to wanting to build something different.
Yeah.
How do you foresee your career advancing and growing from what you've already done now to how you can continue to build that out?
Yeah, my favorite answer, I don't know.
Me neither.
I'm not sure. So, and I'll offer a little bit of context. Like if you asked me, Raj, it's now early 2026. Did you forecast you'd be here in 2025 or 2024? I'd probably say no. Like I don't always know. Like 2027, I don't know what it's going to look like.
Yeah.
So there's a curiosity and there's this ongoing kind of present journey. But the themes, if you look back in the last 5 years, the themes are, at least personally, I love treating patients still. That's never changed. So I would forecast that continues to be a love. Continue to have that love. Secondly, there's an evolution of wanting to teach and coach, which has started to show itself in the last number of years, and it started to tick upwards. So I would project it would continue to tick upwards. I've started to find love in, I've continued to find love in helping others do well. And like you just described this example of, you like the validation of knowing that you put in some work. So there's effort and you're confident that you did a good job and the results are there. So we can call that external validation, but I would actually call it internal validation, because you're evaluating it and you know, if somebody BS'd you and said good job, but you knew it was crappy, you wouldn't feel the validation. Right. Yeah. So that's an internal reflection.
Yeah.
So that to me is like awesome. And if I had influence or a voice for you, I would want to help you do that more. So there's this journey of like helping others do well, patients, colleagues, teammates, students. It's like help the world do well. I like that.
Interestingly, and I find this in my own career, that I feel as though my role is one where I am constantly cheering for my clients,
Right. Yeah.
for success,
Yeah.
because all it does is make me more successful.
100%.
And I flipping love that, that reoccurring loop.
Sure.
That
if you're going to go to bed at night at the end of a day of whatever you've done with your day, you must be a cheerleader for your team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, of course. And it's a beautiful thing.
I think that's what I love about Physio on social media the most.
Right.
Because you guys are constantly cheering for your athletes.
Right.
It's the best. It's so authentic.
Yeah.
Everything else feels fake everywhere.
Yeah.
But it's Physio cheering for their athlete is the best because you're cheering for yourself.
You also see them in some of the darker days,
course,
right? You see them in some of the ugly parts,
mm-hmm.
you know, post tendon rupture or like, you know, coming out of a cast. Like it's kind of some
yeah, you see them in their darkest days, but then you see them on their big stage, and whether they do well or they don't, you're there authentically cheering for them.
Yeah.
And I find in our culture and our world, generally speaking, we have this obsession with social media, and it's made a good portion of the population miserable
mm-hmm.
because they're constantly comparing themselves.
Right.
Whereas it feels as though the Physio group, and there's like Mike is also a fairly famous or popular guy in the city. He's always cheering for his athletes. You got yourself as well. You have these people that are genuinely
mm-hmm.
cheering for their customers.
I didn't realize that it came across that way so much. I knew that it came across that way, but I think that I took it for granted probably.
Well, no, it's because now you've positioned yourself to be happy in what you do and love what you do. And that's what's so, to me, infectious about like all these interviews I do with folks. You can really, in yourself, you can see that it's like, no, this is really fun.
Yeah.
And whereas that's not always the case in every business.
Right.
Like people that run like steel businesses maybe don't feel the same way about that. And you know what, to an extent they even do. I mean, maybe they build stadiums and bridges and they want success
you I'm sure you'll meet that one or two that it lights them up.
Oh yeah.
But it's like, it's in their heart, right? If it lights them up, you know, like there's this character on Modern Family. I know it's a TV character, but it's the grandpa, right? He's got closets. Yeah. He loves closets. Like, they're not that exciting to me. No. I don't think I'd start a podcast asking about closets, but if you found the guy that lights up his heart, he's the one.
Honestly, but that's what, you know, you see the differentiator in the people that you're competing with or in that are successful in their sectors or their industries. And it's almost, you can see it.
Yeah.
Like they just like love it. Yeah. And you might think that that's insane that they love something like that. But I agree. It really does find itself. And sadly, it's not always the case in athletes. You can tell that they're like, no, I'm done. Mm-hmm. There's an endless number of football players that retire early because they don't really enjoy it and stuff like that. Okay. But for me, when I think about, and the reason why I wanted to chat with you, I just think that this industry itself has so much opportunity to grow. Mm-hmm. And I'm really excited by the way in which you guys are developing it out. Mm-hmm. I love the community aspect and where you guys are headed with that. For you, do you need to see further success there in order to justify continued expansion? Or is that not something you're interested in? Is it kind of as you said, you don't know what 2027 looks like. I don't feel like I'm going to add anything there.
Of course, strategically, we must see success before we're going to expand further.
I get that. Yeah,
that's true. But let's dive into that a little bit more. Like, what would success look like? Like that, I'd probably have to ask myself that question first. So, financial stability, of course, but are we permeating the market with the right knowledge that we wanted to permeate it with? Are coaches and athletes seeing results and starting to learn more? Are they cognitively more aware of principles of training, principles of recovery? Are they getting smarter? Right? Is their brain starting to grow and their body doing better too? So I would say those are a couple of indicators that if I would call those success markers. If those things are happening, we're probably doing well and we're impacting the way we need to impact. then we can consider expanding, because now we have a proven model. There's some fundamentals.
Sure.
It's actually starting to work. There's uptake, and the feedback loop. Going back to your comment is unfolding. Yeah.
So for you to continue to see success, do you see it being the limiting factor perhaps being having enough customers, or is it more coach limited?
I don't think it's customers. That there's like when we do a startup or open a new practice, there's typically a bit of a growth curve.
Sure.
But there's a level of research on the front end, picking the right market and location and research and branding to make sure that it's set up for success, and then it will grow. So I don't think that's not the biggest bottleneck. I think coaches and or physiotherapists and or support staff, like there's a HR team, and sometimes that can be a bottleneck. So you have highs and lows with staffing, and some people turn out to be rock stars, some people turn out to be duds, and somewhere in the middle. So there's a journey of that. That's always the journey, but I think we've done a good job of carving out who we are and like which people tend to do well in our environment. So we still have some misses. We have more hits than misses now, and people start to self-identify. Like they kind of, there's a vibe, like I am these people, like this is my crew, or it's kind of like respectfully, it's not all good.
Sure.
It's just not my crew, right? They start to feel it. So going back to your question, bottlenecks would be, I think, timing and opportunity, and then secondarily, like doing things the right way, HR, logistics, financing, all that stuff. Yeah.
So for me, I'm coming out of physio school. I decide to go the non-public, I go private route.
Yeah.
You're already self-selecting as being a slightly more entrepreneurial because you've sort of done that. How do you guys land the talented physio coach?
Yeah.
Why would they choose your outfit?
Yeah. I mean, there are placements where the students go out to different clinics, different hospitals. So it's like a 5 or 6 week two-way interview for those students and those clinic owners to spend time with one another. So that's an opportunity. It's a networking opportunity in addition to teaching them along the way. So there's some opportunity there. There's the classic job fairs and networking events, let's call them. So those things happen probably everywhere in the city. I think then there's a conversation about like, there's an exercise that we have done to try to figure out, again, who we are, what's our vibe, who tends to do well with us. Looking back at history, who are the clinicians that have been the long-term clinicians with our team, and what have been their victories, and what have been our victories with them? Like what led to that relationship being what it is? So now that we know, we have enough sets of data to say this is kind of what the ingredients of what makes us go well, this is what we're about. We just put it out there. This is a transparency. And then the people will start to self-select. That ingredient list looks like mine.
Yeah.
I want to go have some conversations.
Okay.
And that ingredient list doesn't look like mine. I'm going to go look elsewhere. And then then there's like, second, third, fourth conversations, and we talk about like where are we? What are we doing in the first year, second year, et cetera? What kind of mentorship do you want? What benefits you? Let's find that answer. Yeah.
And you guys provide that sort of mentorship at your guys' facility.
Yeah.
So what's the differentiator between your guys' physio group and perhaps another well-known one in the city?
So I'll maybe even paint it a bit broader. Like we talked about city sprawl a little bit earlier today. So you look at those publicly traded companies, and I look at a much smaller scale of suburbia and across the city in the last 5 to 10 years, let's say. Every new development seems to have a cannabis shop next to a daycare, next to a physiotherapy clinic, next to a pharmacy, next to a dentist and a pizza shop. Like the kind of that's kind of
subs.
Yeah. You kind of start to see more and more of that.
Yeah.
And I'm not knocking it. It's an entrepreneurial opportunity, and it services that community. Wonderful. But the fact that we see it more and more means there's more competition.
For sure.
So for patients and for colleagues, right? Going back to your question about like what sets us apart, on one end, there's one of those clinics in that next to Firehouse Subs or the pharmacy. Usually that's a sole practitioner owned clinic with maybe 2,000 square feet, if not less. I'd call it a small clinic, team of 3 to 4 people.
Yep.
There's benefits and there's pros and cons to that. Tight team, no red tape, like all that kind of stuff, but also less opportunity for growth, I'd say. And then on the other extreme, you have large corporations that are publicly traded, like Lifemark or Centric Health. That would be the example of the opposite. And they're nationwide, lots of red tape, and there's pros and cons to that, right? We're kind of the sweet spot in the middle. So the people that self-identify with us want a little bit larger corporation, multiple locations in which they can grow and move around and evolve as clinicians, get paid a competitive salary, have a benefit plan, be part of a brand that they feel connected to and proud to be part of, but also have clinic owners that are Edmontonians and understand, like, truly, like I grew up in North Edmonton. I'm a Castle Downs boy.
Yeah.
Like, no matter where you take me in the city, I'm still a Castle Downs boy. That's just the reality, right? So that's a reality check. Like, that's not going to happen necessarily at Lifemark. It might happen at the small practice, but it comes with other pros and cons. So I'd say what sets us apart is being in that sweet spot, and then constantly, trying to push the envelope forward for where our industry is going. And so those that are the innovative, risk-taking, forward-thinking personalities, there's a place for them. Those that want to be in private practice, still more risk-tolerant than publicly funded physios, but want to have kind of the general population practice, there's a place for them too. They might evolve to something different. Like there's enough play in here, in this company, to let people grow and kind of take shape the way they want to.
It's interesting.
Yeah.
It's funny how you paint the picture of your, I shouldn't say funny, but it's
the industry.
I like hearing about it because it's, there's so many similarities to so many different industries. And in whether it's finance or insurance or real estate, it tends to be the same, a very similar story. But that wasn't the case 10 years ago.
Right.
And now you guys are filling this gap. And
10 years ago, at least in Edmonton, there probably was roughly 5. There's a handful of companies that had multiple locations.
Yeah.
I don't know the exact number, but roughly a handful. And now there's probably, double that. So it's not like a dramatically different picture in terms of who has multiple clinics and multiple locations. Double is double. It's 5 to 10. But the number of solo clinics has expanded widely, like really, really widely.
Yeah, and I think that is in line with as a percentage of wallet share, what healthcare and preventative medicine or just taking care of yourself has started to absorb.
Yeah.
And we did talk about this slightly earlier with regards to the spending habits of Gen Z changing. Moving away from what would have been cigars and alcohol previously is now converting into something different. But that's accelerating. It's not going the other direction.
Right. Yeah.
And investors have been hyper focused. And when I say investors, I think about private equity, large family offices, public investors, institutions. They've thought that there's a ton of opportunity in rolling up healthcare facilities, old age facilities, that sort of thing.
Okay.
There's obviously been a private equity influence in rolling up physio in different forms, dental. It all exists out there, right?
Yep.
And I feel as though I always think about, like, what's the exit, what's the back out for everybody that I talk to. I really believe that this is kind of still just the beginning of where we're headed. And if I was going into an industry and I felt concerned about the overarching technological revolution we're going through, if I separate myself from healthcare at the moment, you think about how AI is going to influence how people start to go to school, educate themselves, find meaning in life, if perhaps their job has been replaced. The interaction with the human is still at the core.
Yep.
And that's our most defensible strategy against
Right.
technology infringing or coming in and eliminating our value that we provide society. So if you're going into your 15 to 16, 17, 18, you think about what you're going to do for a career. I feel as though the closer you can get to the human, the safer you're going to be, because we're going to continue to expand the amount of time we have available to us to think about ourselves, think about how we can improve ourselves and get better.
Right.
We're interestingly growing the amount of time we have to be selfish and think about living longer.
Right.
Sure, there's a few data points through the pandemic where we saw a reduction in expected life. But I still am of the opinion, in every conference I go to, we are planning for people to live to 125. That is a huge change.
Yep.
That's going to change the amount of money that our states have to allocate for healthcare.
Yep.
But also, I mean, to do a good job as a person in a society, at me being 35, like, I got technically 90 years left.
Yeah.
Is that what you're telling me? Okay. Well, I got to really start thinking about my health in a way in which we've never thought about in the past.
Yeah.
So you guys have this runway and opportunity and TAM opportunity that I want young people to think about, because there is a lot of space here. There has been growth because it's the demand for it.
You're right.
These people aren't homeless. When you look at the unemployed, or even just the program at U of A, why is there not one in Calgary? I mean, to me, our healthcare system lacking doctors is a failure of our education system producing more of them. It, not completely, but a big portion of that. Like, holy mackerel. And same with Cairo. Like, we haven't had enough, and veterinarian and all these specialties. We need to educate more. We need to service the demand that's out there, because these things are popping up because there's revenue to be split.
Sure.
I am looking for this stuff. So I think you're in a great spot.
Thank
personally.
you.
I really appreciate.
I hope you're right.
I mean, I don't. You don't need me to tell you that's the case. This is just what's happening right now. And you're in a really good spot. I think what you guys are doing is the kind of on the leading edge, and I'm gonna have to come and check out ARC for sure. It's actually relatively close to me. And I'm excited to follow along on the story, and hopefully you can start to tick off the things that I'm looking for, and continue to grow your brand in the city. So I appreciate you coming here and chatting with me.
Yeah, it was awesome.
I really enjoyed it. So I'm excited to follow along.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks for coming.
You bet.
Right on.
That's all for today. Thanks for listening. If you found this valuable, please subscribe and share it with a friend. As always, the information on this podcast is for educational purposes only and should not be considered financial and/or tax advice. Please consult a licensed professional for your own personal situation. Joel is a registered portfolio manager and investment advisor, and clients of his and his firm may own securities discussed on this podcast.